The fifth round of the season has been completed. The WEC recently took to the incredible Autódromo de Interlagos Jose Carlos Pache circuit for 6 hours of endurance competition. And once the checkered flag dropped, history was made across both classes of hypercar and LMGT3, with the winning car manufacturers each earning their first ever victories in the World Endurance Championship. And so in this video, I'll break down everything that happened during the Rolex 6 Hours of Sao Paulo in 2025. Heading into this race, there were a lot of storylines to follow, especially considering the previous round was the 24 Hours of Le Mans. But during this race in Sao Paulo, there were some major BOP changes which did mix up the grid, especially in the hypercar field. And for the first time ever this season, Ferrari wasn't in the mix for the win. More on them later though. Before the race got going, the event would be set up by the traditional qualifying sessions. Just like at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, in Hyperpole, Alex Lynn qualified on pole position in the number 12 Cadillac V Series R with a 1 minute 22.570 lap time, while Sebastian Bourdais would qualify on the front row in the number 38 car. However, because of a penalty, the Cadillac would drop a place for the race start due to impeding one of the Peugeot 9X8 hypercars, thus allowing the number 5 Porsche Penske to start in second place. Over in LMGT3, we would see a Brazilian qualifying on pole at home. Sao Paulo native Arado Barrichello would qualify on pole with a 1 minute 33.849 in the number 10 Racing Spirit of Lehman Aston Martin Vantage, with the pole lap being extra popular with the home crowd, with Eduardo qualifying on pole at Interlagos 17 years after his father Rubens Barrichello did in Formula 1 at this very track, when the 11-time Grand Prix winner took pole for Braun GP in 2009. Once the green flags were waved for the 6-hour endurance race in Sao Paulo, Lynn's teammate Will Stevens held the lead in the number 12 Cadillac, and heading into the Decina del Lago corner at turn 4, the entire top 5 in the hypercar class would stay the same. However, we got deja vu from the Le Mans 24 Hour as Julian Andlauer in the number 5 Porsche took the lead from the Cadillac and started to build up a gap to the Cadillacs behind. Over in LMGT3, the start was good for the pole-sitting number 10 Aston Martin Vantage. But things did get a little chaotic in the Senna S's, including the number 46 BMW, the number 33 Corvette, and one of the Vista AF Corsa Ferraris all going off track. But thankfully, none of the cars got damaged and were able to continue on. Up in hypercar, it was immediately clear that the battle for the win would be between Cadillac and Porsche, with Peugeot and BMW also showing strong pace here in Brazil, as they squabbled for the title of the third fastest manufacturer in the top class. Meanwhile, the two Heart of Racing Valkyries were also performing quite strong. Marco Sorensen in the 009 Aston Martin in particular was battling for a top 10 finish, and surprisingly, he was even able to get past the number 8 Toyota and the number 83 Le Mans winning Ferrari into 8th place overall. And in fact, alongside help from the BOP, the 6 Hours of Sao Paulo showed that Aston Martin is finally starting to find pace with their new Valkyrie AMR LMH. Speaking of Toyota and Ferrari, they just didn't have the pace here in Brazil. Some of their cars were in the fight for a point or two, but ultimately Toyota and Ferrari made up the back of the hypercar field, which is completely not what we're used to in the World Endurance Championship. But remember, the reason why these two brands were at the back was mainly because of the changes to the balance of performance, which heavily affected Ferrari and Toyota on both power and weight. While Porsche and Julian Andlauer continued to lead in hypercar, with just under 20 minutes into this race, there was a lead change in LMGT3 as new WEC racer Anthony McIntosh in the leading Aston Martin was overtaken at turn 1 by Petro Umbaresco in the number 87 Akotis ASP entry. And from this point onward, Lexus proved that they had the fastest car here at Interlagos, and they were the car company to beat in LMGT3. Elsewhere, our first dramatic moment happened in hypercar when Kevin Magnussen was forced into the garage with brake issues to his number 15 BMW M Hybrid V8, which eventually forced the car 18 laps down and completely took it out of contention for a good result. But the Belgian squad of Team WRT was able to get the BMW back into the race. Our first major on-track incident happened just after the BMW's dilemma when Ben Keating and Ian James made contact at the Junsao corner, which forced the number 27 Aston Martin Vantage into a spin. But thankfully, the team owner was able to get the car back out on track, but this was certainly not what the Heart of Racing team wanted. Soon we saw an intense battle for 10th overall, which saw a risky overtake by Frederick Makovicky in the number 36 Alpine, as he moved ahead of Brendan Hartley's Toyota, which was reminiscent to what we saw in 2024 at the Rolex 24 at Daytona in the battle for the overall victory when Blomqvist and Nazar split the GT traffic. But in the case of Alpine at this race, on the other side of the garage, things weren't going so well for the number 35 car, with the entry being forced into the garage due to a battery issue, which eventually put the Alpine 40 laps down. Just like the BMW though, the Alpine would return to the track and would gather more data for further 2025 events. Over in LM GT3, as pit stops continued to come, the Iron Dames were able to get their number 85 Porsche up to the front, and so did the Iron Lynx with their number 61 Mercedes, which had a great qualifying after Lynn Houdinius went 4th in the Hyperpole session. So far, this was turning out to be a brilliant race for Mercedes and Iron Lynx with a chance to get a top 5 result. But later on, unfortunately, there would be heartbreak for the Iron Lynx team as this number 61 car had a brake issue, which forced it to retire from this race, while the number 60 car would actually end up finishing at the back. So while the number 61 had a great race, the result was of course not what the Iron Lynx were hoping for. Back to this point in the race though, and while some GT entries were moving towards the front, Lexus continued to dominate, with the number 87 car still in first, while Finn Gerzitz had moved the number 78 car into second in the GT class, allowing for a Codis ASP to lead in LMGT3 with a 1-2. Just like it would happen later on in the race for the Iron Lynx and Mercedes, elsewhere in LMGT3 there would also be disappointment for Ford and Proton competition, as heartbreakingly, drama struck the number 88 Ford Mustang, which was in contention for a podium earlier just like the number 61 Mercedes, when the car had a front damper issue and was forced to retire from the race. And much later on, in the final hour, the second Mustang, the number 77 Ford, had a technical issue, which also forced it to retire, which of course was not the way Proton Competition wanted to end their adventures in Brazil in LMGT3. But in terms of the hypercar operations for the German brand, their number 99 Porsche 963 was actually running a very strong race and was in the fight for a top 10 result. More on the customer Porsche in just a bit though. Up at the front, Cadillac Hertz Team Jota put a lot of pressure on the leading number 5 Porsche Penske, and in fact both V Series R entries were right on the back of Julian Andlauer's 963. But there was a small setback in the form of a drive-through penalty for the pole-sitting number 12 Cadillac, which forced the entry to concede a podium spot not just to the second team car, but also to the number 94 Peugeot 9X8, as for the first time this season, Loïc Duval was able to move the French manufacturer into a genuine fight for the podium. Meanwhile, the second 9X8, the number 93, was involved in an intense battle for 5th with the number 6 Porsche Penske 963, with Lawrence Vanthoor eventually moving ahead of the Peugeot after going around the outside at turn 11. Later on, after putting a lot of pressure on the Porsche, there was a switch for the overall lead, as the New Zealand racer Earl Bamber in the number 38 Cadillac finally moved ahead of the 963 with a move around the outside at the first corner heading into the Senna S's. And soon the pole-sitting number 12 Cadillac, which had taken third place away earlier from Loïc Duval in the number 94 Peugeot, also moved ahead of the Porsche to make it a Cadillac 1-2 in Brazil. Eventually, a unique undercut strategy from Hertz Team Jota with the number 12 Cadillac allowed the pole sitter Alex Lynn to retake the race lead from the sister number 38, which strengthened the likelihood of Cadillac Hertz Team Jota securing the top 2 places. As the race progressed, there were some caution periods that were called out a few times during this race, but not for the typical things that would happen in a WEC event. As in fact, the caution was for some discarded kites or something like that from the grandstands that had made their way onto the track. While Cadillac continued to dominate out in front, the action heated up in the LMGT3 field. With under 2.5 hours to go, Rahul Frey got the Iron Dames Porsche into second ahead of the number 78 Lexus. And later on, the number 81 TS Sport Corvette also got into the fight. As with under 15 minutes to go in this event, Charlie Eastwood went side by side with the Iron Dames Porsche heading down the pit straight. And at turn 1, the Irish racer officially made the move for second, placing ahead of the returning Michel Gadding in third, who had taken over for Rahul Frey. Meanwhile, another car became involved in the fight for the podium, which was the pole-sitting Aston Martin from Racing Spirit of Lehman, because while the battle for second place was happening, Eduardo Barrichello moved into fourth ahead of the number 78 Lexus from Akotis ASP. And eventually, Barrichello caught up to the Iron Dames Porsche of Michel Gadding, which turned into an extremely intense battle for the final podium spot with under 5 minutes to go in a 6-hour endurance race. While that was all happening in LMGT3, there was also another battle happening for a podium spot, this time in the hypercar field. Because while Formula E racer Norman Nato led the race overall in the number 12 Hertz Team Jota Cadillac, Julian Andlauer in the number 5 car was looking to achieve back-to-back second place finishes for Porsche Penske Motorsport, as he closed the gap to the second Cadillac from the team, driven by Sebastien Bourdais, to just 1.1 seconds. Back to the battle in GT3, and at the Destino del Lago corner, Barrichello got a very good exit off of the Iron Dames Porsche ahead, and to the delight of the Brazilian crowd, he moved his Aston Martin Vantage into third place at turn 5. Up at the front though, on the final lap, as I alluded to, there would be no change for first position, as the checkered flag would be shown for Cadillac and Hertz Team Jota, as Norman Nato brought the number 12 car to victory lane, as he and his teammates Alex Lynn and Will Stevens would take the overall win at the Rolex 6 Hours of Sao Paulo in 2025. Lynn, Stevens, and Nato's V-Series R gave Cadillac their first ever victory in the World Endurance Championship. And not only did they get the win, but Sebastien Bourdais in the number 38 car would ultimately hold on to second place from the charging Porsche 963 behind, and allow Cadillac to celebrate a 1-2 result in Sao Paulo. The number 5 Porsche, driven by Julian Andlauer and Michael Christensen during this race, would achieve a very strong finish in third, with the sister number 6 Porsche finishing right behind in fourth. Meanwhile, despite the drama for the other Team WRT entry in hypercar, the number 20 BMW M Hybrid V8 would claim a successful top 5 finish here in Sao Paulo. Before moving on, I quickly want to mention that the two Peugeot 9X8 entries would claim their best results to date in 2025, with the number 94 and number 93 cars finishing in 6th and 7th respectively, while the number 99 Proton Competition Porsche 963 would also pick up its first ever top 10 of the season, with a P10 finish, which was a very positive thing considering what happened to the team in LMGT3 with both of their Ford Mustangs retiring. Speaking of LMGT3, not only did we see a new manufacturer win in hypercar, but the same could be said for Lexus, who took the win in the GT category. 2021 Le Mans winner Jose Mario Lopez was joined on the podium by Clement Schmidt and Petro Umbaresco, who took the win in the number 87 Akotis ASP RCF GT3, which allowed Lexus to secure their first ever win in the World Endurance Championship action. Lexus fully deserves this result, and it's been a long time coming considering their performance across the entire year. Meanwhile, the number 81 Corvette from TF Sport would claim back-to-back podiums this season, with Eduardo Barrichello celebrating a maiden WEC podium here at home, as Racing Spirit of Lehman's number 10 Aston Martin finished in third. Fourth place went to the Iron Dames with their number 85 Porsche after just barely missing out on the podium, And after taking the win, the Akotis ASP team's second car, the number 78 Lexus, completed the top 5. Let's now take a look at how the championship standings line up following the Rolex 6 Hours of Sao Paulo. In hypercar, the number 51 Ferrari remains at the top with 105 points, but just 12 points behind is the Le Mans winning number 83 Ferrari. After their win here in Sao Paulo and their 4th place finish at Le Mans, the number 12 Cadillac from Hertz Team Jota now moves into 3rd ahead of the number 50 Ferrari, while the number 6 Porsche Penske 963 completes the top 5. In 6th place comes the number 7 Toyota Gazoo Racing entry, followed by the number 38 Cadillac, which has moved into 7th following its 2nd place finish in Sao Paulo. Coming in at 8th is the number 20 car from BMW M Team WRT, followed by the number 8 Toyota, with the number 36 Alpine driven by Makovicky, Gunon, and Schumacher completing the top 10. As for the hypercar manufacturer standings, Ferrari continues to lead the way with 175 points. But after their win in Sao Paulo, Cadillac jumps into 2nd, just 55 points behind, with Porsche completing the top 3. The defending champions from last year, Toyota, have been bumped down to 4th with 95 points, followed by BMW, Alpine, Peugeot, and Aston Martin, who completes the top 8. As for the LMGT3 standings, the number 92 Manthey First Form Porsche continues to lead the way with 89 points, but just 13 points behind is the number 21 Vista AF Corsa Ferrari, with the number 33 TF Sport Corvette now in 3rd, but those top 3 entries didn't really gain any ground in Sao Paulo. A car that did gain ground though was the number 87 Akotis ASP Lexus, which moves into the top 5 in 4th place, with the number 81 TF Sport Corvette completing the top 5. The sister Akotis ASP Lexus, the 78, is now in 6th, followed by the 27 Heart of Racing Aston Martin, the 59 United Autosports McLaren, the number 54 Vista AF Corsa Ferrari, and finally, completing the top 10 is the number 10 Racing Spirit of Lehman Aston Martin after finishing 3rd in Sao Paulo. So that completes my race report for the Rolex 6 Hours of Sao Paulo in 2025. Until next time, Brazil. So you might be asking, what now? Well, the WEC is now going on summer break, but we will be returning for more action in the Americas with the trip to Austin, Texas for Lone Star Le Mans in September. But now I'm interested to know, what did you think about this event at Interlagos? Well, be sure to let me know all your thoughts in the comments below.